This video is going to be a demonstration of the slip stitch. For this, you'll only need one piece of muslin, a threaded needle, and some snips. You can put the snips to the side because you won't need them till the end. I've already got this needle threaded and with a knot in it, so I'm ready to go. For the slip stitch, take your sample piece, fold the long edge down about 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch. Let's see how I did. This looks like it might be a little fat. Yeah, that's almost a 1/2 inch. We're not doing rocket science here. It doesn't have to be specifically perfect in this case. If somebody gives you a dimension in this costume shop though, pay very close attention to it. Now for your second fold, you want to make it a little bigger, but you want to make sure you've got plenty of fabric down here too. So, ideally also you would press this under the iron if you're working in the costume shop. And for your final sample book, I highly recommend you do press it with the iron. I'm just pressing it down here with my hands. So you've got this nice sample, or this nice piece of muslin ready. You're gonna want to pin in here. This time I'm gonna pin along the edge. And the sample will sew this folded edge to this flat edge all the way across. You can cross pin on this project if you'd like so. You want to pin through both layers. But for this one, I'm gonna pin in a parallel sort of orientation to the way I'm sewing. All right. To start this one, we're gonna come up through the back, right next to the fold. See that? I'm not through the fold, but I'm right next to it. Pull that down until your knot hits the back of your fabric. It's not focusing, there we go. All right, now the slip stitch is named such because your needle slips through this upper fold of fabric. What you do is you put your needle into the fold. See, I went all the way through. You don't want to go all the way through. You want your needle to stay inside that fold. This one's tricky, but you'll get it. And as you slip that needle through that fold, it'll try to catch, but there you go. About 3/8 of an inch down, you come back out of that fold. You see that? That is the first slip in your slip stitch. Now to secure it to the piece of fabric where we're actually trying to sew it to, let me get that out of the way. You will go to this underneath piece of fabric here and take a tiny 1 or 2 yarn bite. And you'll draw that down. Now I've actually sewn that fold to the bottom piece. But for the next step is another slip. You go into the fold right where you came out of that bottom piece of fabric, right next to it, and slip through the fold and bust back out again and draw that down. So you should have this little sort of V looking set of stitches here. And that's the way this works. You slip through, you take a bite out of the back fabric, you slip through, you take a bite out of the back fabric, you slip through. So I've slipped through, get my thread out of the way so you can see. I'll take a small bite out of the back fabric, draw that down, and then up into the fold to slip through again. Bust back out of the fold. Pardon me for 1 second, my needle came unthreaded. I'm not heeding my own advice and holding at the eye of the needle, which helps you prevent that. If you hold your needle back here, your thread can't slide through. So, I've slipped through. I'm going to take a bite out of the back fabric. 1 or 2 little threads on there. and draw that down. Back into the fold. You slip your needle through the fold again and bust back out. Now, the way this works, very slow doing it step by step. Ideally, when you hit a level of proficiency with this stitch, you will take your, let me slide this thread out of the way, there we go. You'll take your bite out of the back fabric, you'll come up, you'll go into the fold, and you'll slip, and you'll bust back out. And it all becomes one stitch at a time then. So that's how you get this stitch faster. You take that bite and slip into the fold all at once. Now, if your needle comes out of the fold early, just draw back some and keep going. Take a little bite. This thread keeps getting in the way, I apologize. A little bite, and into the fold, where you'll slip through. This is gonna take some getting used to, y'all. It's a little tricky. If you don't like that all at once motion, don't feel like you have to. You can always just take your bite and then do the slip. You might find this faster and easier. Some people do. I've been sewing for a long time, and you see this one still takes me a little while. All right, little bite. Oh, I unthreaded my needle. Some days sewing is just a little taxing on your nerves. I had a costume professor that told me once, all these little things that happen that annoy you. This is why people don't sew. She may be right. You'll learn, though, the better you get, the more you practice, the better it all works. I promise you will get better as long as you're practicing. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and knot off. There's what your slip stitch kind of looks like sample-wise. On the back, you should have these discrete little stitches. All right, to knot off, you can pierce through to the back. Pick up just a few yarns or fibers right next to where you pierce through. Oops, I should have gone through the hole. Draw that down, there's your loop. Sew through it, that's your knot. Do it again. Draw it down, there's your loop. Put your needle through it, there's your knot. Trim it, and you're done. Now, of course, as always, you will go all the way across this sample. I also recommend pressing your samples at the end. It makes them look much nicer. And that's the slip stitch.